Or hopefully, one day I will. So, people often are left wondering how they never saw the con man coming. Psychopaths have an instinctive understanding of how to manipulate a person to do almost anything. These individuals are not any color type. They are not red, yellow, green, or blue. They simply mirror the person that is standing right there in front of them at the time to twist whatever it is to make them get whatever they want. Thomas Erickson, excuse me, Thomas Erickson describes this type of person as having no behavior type. They're more like a shadow. Think about who we think of when we hear the word psychopath, right? Who do you think of? Charles Manson, the Boston Strangler, Ted Bundy, Ed Gein. You know, that's who I think of when I think of psychopath. You wouldn't think it was your boss at work or the mailman or, you know, the girl at the shoe store. But it is. They're more common than any of us really realize. In reality, every day on the morning commute, there are several well-rounded psychopaths on the subway in New York City. Hell, you have even probably had a conversation with them or helped them out. You know, some experts estimate about 1% of the general population is in fact suffering from psychopathic traits. That's pretty wild. I hope if any of us have ever encountered any type of the type of person who is a psychopath I want to describe to you would be they're more of the yellow than anything. Thomas Erickson in the book Surrounded by Psychopaths, he says 2 to 4% of the population is actually psychopathic. And I got these findings off off of Google. Actually, this 1% of the general population. Most psychologists view psychopaths as having a type of personality disorder characterized by superficial charm conjoined with profound dishonesty, callousness, quietness, or poor impulse control. Most psychopaths are male. Think about that. But there are some female psychopaths as well. Contrary to popular belief, only a minority are violent. In 1941, American psychiatrist Harvey Cleckley was among the first to put a label on the successful psychopath in his classic book, The Mask of Sanity. I think I might check this one out. That sounds like a great read. In 1977, Catherine Wyndham published a study about non-institutional psychopaths. She had ran an ad in the Boston newspaper. The title said, "Calling for charming, aggressive, carefree people who are impulsively irresponsible but are good at handling people and looking out for number one." Well, she actually had a turnout and got some pretty wowing results. And she concluded not all, but 2/3 had been arrested before. So, I mean, everybody thinks that, you know, the psychopath is going to be locked up in jail for being a serial killer. Well, which most serial killers are psychopaths. But there was also a book written about, it's called, I believe, What Presidents and Psychopaths Have in Common. You know, it talks about the top two, or no, actually, Thomas Erickson in this book, Surrounded by Psychopaths, he says in there that the top two presidents of the United States that were psychopaths were JFK and Bill Clinton. I found that to be pretty wild. Thomas Erickson puts it like this. These people, these individuals end up harming most people they come into contact with, leaving the victims with no clue as to what had really happened. If you want to know if you're a psychopath or someone you know, or you maybe you think you know someone who's a psychopath, or if you want to know if they are, Kevin Dutton, author of The Good Psychopath's Guide to Success. Kevin used a personality test to diagnose adult psychopaths, and it's actually called PPI-R, Psychopathic Personality Inventory Revised. And it worked. Originally developed by Scott Lilienfeld and Brian Andrews to evaluate certain character traits in the non-criminal population. You guys, man, I'm telling you, check out Surrounded by Psychopaths by Thomas Erickson. It is a great read. I just finished it yesterday, and I'm telling you, this guy is just, his mind's awesome. He has a great mind, I'm telling you. At your local library, you need to go rent this book if you can. Get out there, go to Barnes & Noble and buy it, or Audible has it. You could actually listen to this book. I think Google has Google Books, and they offer an e-Audible type book too, I think. Or anywhere books are sold. Get out there and get it. It's interesting. So in reality, this book was about how to defend yourself against a psychopath. Because we've all seen movies of people. Look at that movie Fear. That was terrifying. Mark Wahlberg. He was like a stalker, but it's true. If anybody that's been stalked, they know what the hell I'm talking about. When I was in 9th grade, I kid you not, this girl was a senior, and she had asked me out. I'm almost dumbfounded. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to go out with you. I had no idea what I was doing, but anyways, she wound up coming and picking me up. She got me to sneak out, so I snuck out. I had never snuck out, but I snuck out for a girl. So she takes me out in the country, and we pull over, and we mess around, and I'm like, whatever. I really didn't want to do anything. I wasn't under the impression that she was even like that, but it wound up going down like that. But when I got home, I went home, everything was cool, and then she calls me that week, and she's like, I love you. She kept telling me she loved me. Then I'm like, you love me? I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, dude, we just started like hanging out. We made out in the country, and whatever. But I wasn't like, I didn't feel like I love you. I didn't feel like that. But anyway, she wound up turning around. She wound up stalking the living shit out of me. It was like coming by, screaming my name, sending me letters, calling me from all kinds of different numbers. It was wild, man, and I didn't know what. I was scared. So she wound up coming up to me at a football game on a Friday night. I had broke up with her, and I told her I'm flat out. I was like, I don't want to go out with you. She had wound up having this big knockdown, drag-out fight that night on the phone with her mom when she was telling me she loved me. Her mom on the phone was like, you know what? You don't even know the meaning of love. It was wild. And she wound up putting her arms around me at the football game, and I took her hands off me. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Please leave me alone. And she started swinging. I'm ducking. I'm like, what the hell? I remember the sheriff came over there and kicked her out. She was never allowed back in there, but man, she stalked me for almost 3 months after that. It was terrifying. I didn't know what to do. So how to counteract your psychopathic friend? One is increase your self-awareness, Thomas Erickson says. 2, learn to recognize psychopathic behavior. And this stuff is would be hard to do. I'm going to have to read this book, reread this book, to really dissect how to know if I'm being controlled by a psychopath and manipulated and, being taken advantage of. And the third one was decide how much you value your own worth and self-respect. Okay? So, it says the yellow behavior type from Surrounded by Idiots is the most closely related to psychopathic behavior. But the yellow is not a psychopath, but has a few psychopathic traits. A red person thinks they are clever and have drive, but those around them also see that they are sometimes tense and impolite. See, and the red don't see that. Because sometimes we don't ever step outside of ourselves and realize how stupid we do act sometimes and overreact sometimes. Does this make the red a psychopath? No, it definitely does not. The yellow readily calls attention to their creative and innovative side, while their co-workers are busy tidying up after their unfinished projects, because yellows love to start stuff, but they never love to finish them. Or, projects and stuff. While the green does everything to make their colleagues feel more comfortable, meanwhile, their boss sees the green back down in any potential conflict. And the blue perfectionist gets on the nerves of everyone around them because their inability to their inability to let go of any detail that is not 100% true. You have to be aware of your surroundings. Even if you think, it's no big deal. Yeah, no big deal. According to statistics, the risk of being affected by a psychopath is greater than the risk of having a heart attack, being diagnosed with cancer, crashing your car, losing your pension, and losing your job. Is that not something to be aware of? I'm like, wow. 20% of our decisions are based on rational analysis. So, wow. Yeah, 20% of our decisions are based on rational analysis. 80% of our decisions are based on emotional convictions. Damn. 80%. That's wild. So, what if your partner is a psychopath? What are you going to do about it? You going to sit there and take the abuse and the craziness they cause and the havoc they wreak when they're making all this drama go on? And in reality, they're just trying to whittle you down and get everything you own to make it theirs. Because a psychopath's job to themselves is just to make them number one, to get everything for themselves. And Thomas Erickson says in that book, there's 3 things that, are pretty much, it makes you a psychopath, And one of them is what's yours is mine and what mine is mine. And that's how they think. And I actually used to be with someone who actually said that to me all the time, and it was mind-boggling. And I used to sit there in a daze and think, I wonder what the hell that means. So it's what if your partner is a psychopath? Even if they swear absolute loyalty at the altar, love in front of everyone. It's simply a person who has, a psychopath is simply a person who has learned to say the right words. And that's pretty much it. They become the sweetest talkers or the most persuasive people because they're just trying to get what they want and they don't care who they hurt in the process. And that's what's so dangerous about people in society that aren't serial killers or murderers or whatever, The psychopath has no intentions of fulfilling their grandiose promises, you guys. Rather, they are very pleased they have conned you so well. They get off on it. They get excited. But that's another red trait, too. Reds also enjoy, doing little stupid shit and laughing about it when it's really hurting you or pissing you off. That's a red trait. So that's, that's interesting. The psychopathic lover isn't married to you for love or respect. They are with you to own you. They're with you to own you. And all of your belongings and your assets. They want that shit to be theirs. They don't care what it takes. They're going to get it. They will charm your relatives, your friends. They will look as though They are the absolute best partner ever, you guys. They will help with things that, I mean, they'll take on tasks. In which very likely they'll just get up and walk away from, and you'll have to do it yourself, because a psychopath has no intentions of completing anything. Even the marriage, if they are married to you. If you complain, the psychopath will point out an outsider who thinks that they are the greatest partner ever. Just, to make sure he keeps your ass in check. And Thomas Erickson wrote Surrounded by Psychopaths. Guys, hey, I want you guys to follow me too if you're listening to this, alright? I know I'm not the greatest, but I'm trying, and I want to get out there, and I want to do this more, and I want to get better at it. And I'm trying, y'all. So follow me, like me, and give me some comments too. I don't be afraid. I'm here. This is your boy Lo Jackson over here in Charleston, Illinois, freezing to death. Yeah. Surrounded by Psychopaths, people don't have the psychopath does not have a color. They don't fit into the DISC system. Dominance, inspiring, stable, conscientious system, The red is always the go-to on the topic of psychopathic behaviors for any type of psychopathic topic between professionals. The red is the one that comes up the most. They're always like, hey, you know what? He has so many traits. But then again, actually the yellow does, because the yellow is more outgoing, and that's how a psychopathic person would be. They would be more outgoing, more manipulative, more controlling, and trying to, whittle you out of whatever it is that they think that they need to make themselves feel fulfilled, I believe. And that's my own thoughts. It's the red will be always the one they go to, though, for those types of topics. Red behavior type is the rarest in our population today. I mean, and that's the red by itself, no other colors. It's 0.5%. That's why people always say, oh yeah, psychopaths are the reds in the DISC system. But that's not true. People do not understand the red. They argue with you 1 minute, and that's the red. They argue with you 1 minute, and then invite you to dinner the next. And that's the truth. Because, they care about you. Psychopaths endure tough conditions because they don't care about others. They care about getting what they want from others, if that makes sense. The red is a diehard worker. He's a working mother effer, you guys. They're your bosses who tell you the truth about your work ethic. The psychopath, on the other hand, has no intentions of ever finishing shit. They come to rob, kill, and destroy. And to run away at a moment's notice and not give any help at all, and leave you having to finish everything and clean up and do whatever. That's what a psychopath does. So the yellow, Thomas writes, there are obvious similarities: superficial charm and eloquence. Yellows are the center of attention, as are psychopaths. Yellows tend to point fingers when things go south, and guess who else does this? Yep, you guessed it. The psychopath. A yellow person becomes stressed and emotionally involved when they are exposed. They become loud and wild almost at times. The psychopath would be unmoved. He has no emotions like that. The psychopath constructs a path of lies so devastating you have no idea in the end truth from lies. He writes that they don't feel anything, but the rare yellow behavior type does have remorse or sad feelings, so they may not be a psychopath. And it's rare for a green to be called manipulative. And From my understanding in the book Surrounded by Psychopaths, it's almost as the last two colors, green and blue, are like few and far between of ever being a psychopath. And that's what I got from it. Maybe my reading comprehension skills ain't the greatest, but that's what I got the gist of. It's rare for a green to be called manipulative, but in reality, they do manipulate, but we just don't realize it, and they may not either, actually. And that's just their personality type. And greens struggle with being aware of what they're doing completely. The psychopath is aware at all times, like the cunning wolf. They're ready to prowl and pounce at a moment's notice over their prey, you know? And that's what we got to be aware of. And like I said before, you know, you got to, you got to be aware of your surroundings and be aware, you know, of who you're hanging around with, what they're saying, how they're acting, how they're behaving. And I think that stuff's important to, here we go. That's what I was looking for, what I was telling you earlier. 1, increase self-awareness. 2, learn to recognize psychopathic behavior. 3, decide how much you value your own worth and self-respect. And that's in relationships and everything else. Psychopaths enjoy causing trouble. Thomas says he's never come across a blue psychopath, but who's to say they aren't out there, you guys? They could be. Hell, they could be our next door neighbor. They could be our coworker. They could be our best friend. We don't know. The psychopath is so cunning, and they could keep cunning us for years, you know, and conning us at that. Blues only care about a handful of people. Psychopaths care about no one. Psychopaths lie all the time, without any clear motives. Blues do not like to lie at all. They answer truthfully no matter the reality of the situation. Psychopaths are charming, and they enjoy making others charmed. Blues are not charming. Blues are consistent. They usually know topics inside and out, depending on what they're into. And you guys, I hope you go out and find this book and read it. Give it a shot. I tried to tell you guys stuff in this episode that would help you be able to maybe defend yourself against a predator like that, or a person that's manipulating you to do something that you don't want to do, or mistreating you in ways that is unkind and inhumane. I would definitely seek, you know, help as fast as you could and get the hell out of there. Honestly, I wish I could save you, but hell, you know, I'm doing a podcast over here in the cold part of the world right now, you know, but we're all on our own. We all have to steer our own vessel. This is the Only You podcast. I'm your boy Lo Jackson, and we're talking about Surrounded by Psychopaths. I've known a couple psychopathic people in my life, and maybe they weren't really psychopaths, but they sure inhibited a lot of psychopathic traits, and I know at the time, maybe I did too, because I did take the test in the book, and man, I got way up there, but not way up there. He said that where I was at was actually the normal part of the population. So I was like, thank God. Yeah, I had myself so scared and worked up I couldn't stop reading. But I'm telling you, if you guys pick this book up, you won't regret it. It's a good read. So informational. This guy has done so much research, and he's studied with so many different people. And he includes all that stuff inside of this book, and he includes a lot of people that has helped him along the way. And he definitely wrote this book because of someone who took Surrounded by Idiots, his first book, and used it for bad. And come on, people, let's not do that. The world's full of enough dummy, bad people. We don't need no more bad people like that. Come on. This is the Only You podcast, where only you can change how you react to situations and how you respond every situation in life, in reality. Thank you guys for listening. This is going to be it for right now. That was my rendition of the Surrounded by Psychopaths by Thomas Erickson. Hey Thomas, if you're listening to this, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you and hope you continue writing, and I'll be listening to your Audible. I'll be reading your books on Kindle. I'll be getting your books on Audible. Yeah. So I hope all my fans do too. Please follow me, you guys. And I'm going to do this more often, as much as I can. I'm working full time right now, so I'm going to do this when I can. So maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every week, I'll try. But thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.